Brendan, how are you?
Hi, Dr. Cooley. Thank you for having me.
I'm sorry, we had some technical difficulties on our end, so please, audience, forgive us for that. But we're back. Dr. James Cooley is logging in as we speak. We just had like some internet problems, which is really weird. But how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. How about you?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great. Welcome to the show. It's your live show featuring Dr. James Cooley. And audience, we have this amazing guest on our show today. But before that, I'm going to introduce him to the audience. So the title of this show is Creating Motivating Environments. And the purpose is getting to know Doctor of Sport and Performance Psychology, educator, and coach, Dr. Brendan Meany. And we're going to discuss how leaders can purposely design environments to maximize intrinsic motivation and how inclusivity fosters engagement and elevates performance, and how promoting autonomy increases competency and relatedness, and discuss how fluid environments promote adaptability, perseverance, and recoil. So, welcome to the show, Dr. Meany, and I've been trying to kind of go over a couple of things about your background. So, audience, so Dr. Brendan Meany. Dr. Brendan Meany, of course, is a doctor of sport and performance psychology, educator, and coach. His recent work focuses on implementing high performance skills in medicine, psychological research and publishing, leadership and culture development, and optimizing athlete potential. Prior to working in sport and performance, Dr. Meany played college football and earned an undergraduate degree from Winona State University in Minnesota, a master's from Emporia State University in Kansas, and a doctorate from University of Western States in Portland, Oregon. After his undergraduate education, Dr. Meany played rugby and coached several sports around the world. Most notably, Brendan played rugby in Norwich, England, and coached in South Africa, Argentina, Japan, and the Belizean Rugby National Sevens director of high performance and head coach. He's an avid yoga practitioner and teaches yoga to all ages and abilities. Welcome, Dr. Brendan Meany, to the show.
Welcome to the show, Brandon. Welcome to the show, Doc. How you doing? How you doing?
Hey, Dr. Cooley. Thank you for having me. I love the intro. I've seen that before, but it got me bumping a little bit.
Yeah, we had a little difficult, man, as we was coming on air. Our internet, everything went down at that moment. So it's
Well,
an
it's not
absolute.
what happens to you, it's how you respond, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an absolute pleasure having you on the show because we're gonna be talking about creating and motivating environments, and I think it relates kind of to the work life balance and the environment that you're in. If you're in a happy environment and you're thinking positive things and things are taken care of, uh, everything tend to help us up mentally as well because we don't have to worry about a lot of these type of problems or issues or environment. So, hey Doc, can you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about you, where you grew up, and just I think a lot of things that you are doing and have been doing are fascinating.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. First off, I love your work, and a lot of people you work with, I'm good friends with too. So it's really cool to be part of this and have it come full circle. I'm originally from upstate Jersey, where I spent the first several years of my life. And then after that, we moved to the southwest suburbs of Chicago, where I spent most of my life before going to college. And now I'm back in Chicago with my wife and my daughter. And currently, I'm a high school teacher. So I work at a school on the south side, and I'm a physical educator, and I teach yoga to high school students. So through that and coaching and all my stuff I've done around the world, I've really taken to finding ways to create motivating environments. I work with students from difficult backgrounds, and I've coached in places with people who have a lot of things going on in their lives that we don't sometimes have in America. And it got me thinking, how do I create systems and how do I create environments that allow the people to flourish? Because a lot of times I saw full potential not coming to fruition. And it had nothing to do with talent. a lot of times there are barriers of entry that people can't even fathom. And my goal after that was to try to implement educated decisions on how we can do things better.
So who were some of the biggest influences that had an impact on you as you was growing up?
I'm incredibly lucky that I've been around really, really great people. And I think great people lift other people up and give them an opportunity. Especially when I was a young man, my head was not screwed on straight like all of us. I made a lot of mistakes. And thankfully, I had coaches and teachers who really, really cared about me and saw the potential in me and not only motivated me to be the best version of myself, but they gave me the platform to do that. I mean, I didn't fully understand it at that time, but since being in applied practice as a doctor of sport and performance psychology, as a teacher and a coach, I really kind of learned more about what they did. And that influenced me to go and learn more of the academic end of it. And people like Coach Matt Ents, Coach Brian Curtin, Coach Tom Sawyer, some of my teachers, Mr. Root, Mrs. Husak, some Mr. Nichols, Mr. Coletti, Mr. Grider, all these people were so influential in helping me be the best version of me. And then at home, my mom and my uncle were extremely influential in my life. And my mom was an educator of 39 years, a Golden Apple winner in the state of Illinois. So watching her work with children from difficult backgrounds, I saw the value that she added to her life and the stability that she added. And that was something that influenced me and made me want to be that person for other people. Not only because my mom did it, but so many people did it for me.
Wow. So yeah, you followed in your mom's footsteps as a teacher. So
We're big footsteps. It's very hard. And anytime you tell people she's a golden apple, they're like, whoa, hey, you come from a racehorse pedigree, but I'm still a pony. I'm working on it.
wow. So we all have core values that shapes us and that makes us who we are, and it also shapes our thinking. What are your core values, Dr. B?
So over time, I've developed, it's a pretty long acronym, but for me, this is what I need. So these are all things that are really important to me. I spell out the acronym GRATEFUL, where everything I do, I work through the prism of being genuine, relational, altruistic, thoughtful, enthusiastic. And then this is where I think is incredibly important, a reminder that I'm fallible. And those failures that everyone has, they do not define me. So I'm undefined. And through that failure on the back end, I'm a learner. I learn through doing. I learn through failure. And when I am undertaking something new or a challenge or whatever it might be, or even a personal interaction with people, I always try to work through that prism of how am I being genuine? How am I being relational? Am I being altruistic? Am I being thoughtful? And then if something doesn't go right, I have that last little reminder that you're fallible. You're a fallible human being. You moving forward, recognizing the issue and addressing it and saying that does not define you, and then learning from that. That's what I think probably is the most important part of who I am as a person. Because again, if you're not learning from mistakes, that's the only time you lose in my mind.
Wow. So Doc, we all go through challenges and adversities, and which some of the things makes us better, makes us stronger, and it also gives us a path forward in helping others. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners some of the obstacles or challenges that you might have went through that make you the person that you are today?
So I'm very big on framing challenges in regard that the most difficult thing you've ever done is the most difficult thing you've ever done. So what is difficult to me might not be difficult to other people. What's difficult to you, vice versa. And I've had so many challenges over my life, like many people. And again, that's where the growth has happened in my life. And I'm so thankful for that. Probably some of the more unique challenges that I have is traveling in many different countries around the world, doing it really without a plan, having to learn how to connect and communicate with people. If you ever get lost on a Tokyo subway, you learn really quick that you are a fish in water. and you are very identifiable, that everyone knows you are not from there and you do not know what you're doing. So through travel, I've learned not with a lot of consequence, a lot of these how to overcome challenges. But I'm a stage 2 tongue cancer survivor. So about 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with a tumor on the left side of my tongue. And after that, I had reconstructive surgery to not only remove half of my tongue, make me a tongue on my arm, and then remove 24 lymph nodes from my neck, and then followed by about a month and a half of radiation. So part of who I am is that story. And what I try to share with people is, on the other end of challenges, you have the opportunity for growth, and you have the opportunity for clarity, and you have the opportunity to make changes in your life. And I wasn't living the best version of myself before that. And then after going through that physical and health hardship, I got busy living really quick, because when you are staring down the barrel of possibly dying, on the other end of it, waking up at 5:30 in the morning and going for a run or doing a yoga session to help you regulate your autonomic nervous system, it's not that hard anymore. So one thing I try to provide people with my story is that whatever you get through, on the other end of that challenge is not going to look very difficult, because you've been through it, because you no longer have this barrier to entry of you being afraid or you having trepidation about what you're about to endure. And that's why I encourage people to lean into challenges, that this might not work out for you, but right now we don't know that until you go through it. And then on the other end of it, you're going to have so much valuable data that is personal to you that you can use to be a better version of yourself.
Wow. That was very powerful, how you just described your story. We're going to take a station break, but I want to come back and I want to pick it up from challenges again. And if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to the comments, ask this great doctor any question you want, and I promise you I'll get it on the screen. Remember, it's your life. We'll be back shortly after the break.
To know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and we got this extraordinary guest of ours here, Dr. B is what I call him, and he was explaining his story and kind of caught me off guard a little bit, because life is full of challenges, and life is full of obstacles that's going to come our way and how we react to it according to our attitude. We can either let it take over and just go into a pity pool, or we can do just like the great doc just did. He snapped out of it, got up, and said, "I'm going to be the best version of myself as possible." And I think we all have to do that, So I want to pick it up with that again, Doc, where you left off at.
Well, I must add, it also has it's very motivating and energizing when you have a great partner, and my wife is amazing and was with me through all those challenges. But she really kind of gave me a kick in the butt when I needed it, when I was feeling bad for myself. And I'll never forget. Because we were on dating then too. We weren't married, and I'll never forget the way she supported me through that challenge. And I'm very incredibly internally grateful for all that she's done for me as well.
Oh yeah. So, hey Doc, how you become involved in the ultimate performance training, and what are the challenges of that?
So I became involved when I just started noticing that a lot of environments were set up for people to fail, that it wasn't set up for flourishing, that it was set up with barriers of entry, that people thought they were doing people favors, but in reality, it was creating a motivation and stagnation and not teaching them how to bounce back and recoil. Human beings want to be good at things. That's part of our DNA. We're very benevolent people. So if someone's unmotivated, there's something else going on here. Whether they might be in an activity or a job that is mismatched for them, that's fine. But they are in the dream job, or they are in a subject or a class or something that they really, really love, and they're dejected from it. I want to learn more about how and why that happens.
So, so you've been working in this field for how long? How long have you been doing this?
Since I graduated about 2 years ago, but I've been in human performance and optimization since I graduated college, and this sample size I have of 15 years with working with people from all over, all different backgrounds, people who don't speak the same language as me, and it made me think, like, how do we bridge this gap? How do we create environments that promote flourishing opposed to thwart happiness, thwart accomplishment? And some of the challenges that I've experienced is number one, helping people believe in themselves. A lot of times, not a lack of motivation, it's a lack of belief, as well as how we navigate these challenges and change how we're looking at them. So it's no longer an aversion to what I'm doing, or I'm no longer I'm lessening fear about what I'm doing, and I'm reframing the task at hand as an opportunity for growth, opposed to some sort of indignation of who you are, or some sort of blemish on your record.
Yeah. So how do you work with these leaders, a lot of leaders, to get them to optimize their leadership abilities, and also to create that environment where people feel comfortable, they feel at ease, they want to be more energetic, they want to bring more to that organization?
Yeah.
How you go about convincing the leaders that these are the most important things that they might need to be concentrating?
So a lot of leaders focus, unfortunately, on outcomes, status, and self-preservation. A lot of them are in these positions because people have elevated them to these positions. And they think that part of them being successful is maintaining that. And what I really try to help them do is I try to help them reestablish who they are and separate themselves, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a principal, whether you're a head coach, an assistant coach, separate themselves from what they're actually doing from their work. So I try to establish an identity for them. Then I work on core values as I share mine. And then we're going to get into leadership philosophy. I help them with developing core values and leadership philosophy as sort of like a moral compass, that instead of focusing on outcomes, instead of focusing on status and your self-preservation, we use it as a way to give a framework to curtail some of those thoughts and bring them back into what their actual goal as a leader is. And when people are stressed, a lot of times they go to the low-hanging fruit. They go to what has worked in the past. And maybe they've experienced a leader who jumps to conclusions or writes people off or yells and motivate people. And when things get hard, sometimes people revert back to that. So by having that strong foundation of understanding who you are, it allows you to have that guidance. So when things do get tough, you can rely back on that because it's so innate who you are over developing it through many years.
So you travel the world, you're coached all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
How has that just getting the experiences from other places in the world helped shape you into being able to let people know that I can do it too. You can do anything you set your mind to. But adjusting to different environments, and I'm sure that coaching around the world, different sports, probably have helped you out in teaching others. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So aesthetically, we're all very different. And no one looks the same. But on the interior, human beings generally all want the same things. Is they want autonomy, they want competency, and they want relatedness. They want a choice in their life. They want to develop as a person and whatever skill or task they're working on. And they want to do with people. They want to do things they care about with people they care about. And going to all these different places, I realized that although we might not speak the same language, and although we might not come from the same background, human beings innately want the same thing. And generally, 99.999% of the people in the world are really, really, really good people who want to do best for themselves and their families. So that really helped me parse out. It was a long time, Doc. I'm not gonna lie. This is over a 10-year period. I did a lot of this, and the education doesn't always come to you in the timetable you want. But looking back on that, that was probably the biggest thing I learned was that people want to be good. Now, how do I help them do that? And I take out of my own prism suppositions or jumping conclusions or preconceived notions about the environment or the person or whatever it might be. So that really helped me find new ways to communicate with people. And then you throw in the challenge of, I do not speak a lick of Japanese. Learning some of the different African languages, you realize that you have to find better ways to communicate with people.
Wow. So are there any theories or framework that you utilize in order to get your point across to others that, people are different. Mm-hmm. People do speak different languages, but being able to illustrate and put it in the way that they can understand. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So I really work from two prisms. The first one is, and you're really familiar with this, with your background in transformational leadership. I work from transformational leadership and humble leadership. So those are two things that I try to bring into my practice where I try to transform people into the best version of themselves, as well as humble leadership, qualities of listening to people, communicating in a digestible and palatable way, asking people for feedback, separating the person from the performance. I try to do those things because when I was on a study not too long ago where we looked at humble leadership and its effects on creativity. And we found that humble leadership when mediated by psychological safety, increases creativity significantly. Also, that increases when you have psychological safety. That increases people sharing in your organization. So now you have more people pulling on the rope, more people solving the problems, and they're going to solve them quicker. So you get a diverse opinion when you're willing to listen to people. Then you get to find a solution quicker and better. And then it's easier for those people to implement it because they came up with it. And they enjoy it more. So then going back to the self-determination theory, that is the other prism I do where autonomy, competency, and relatedness, when you pair those two together, you have a humble leader who's creating environments based off of intrinsic motivational theories that then helps solve problems and hopefully improve outcomes.
Wow, this is fascinating. We're gonna take a station break. Well, Dr. B, when we come back, we're gonna pick it up. We're gonna pick it up because we got a lot more to talk about. And if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is go to the comments, ask this great doctor any question you want to, and I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We'll see you shortly after the break.
Courage, valor, experience. The values that make veterans are the values that make veteran businesses America's #1 choice. Veteran business owners throughout the nation are ready to connect. OpsForVets.com. Handshakes, not handouts. Ops for Vets connects veterans with business opportunities. Here is a closer look at a featured veteran business. Every business listed is a verified veteran-owned business and can be found in the OpsForVets.com supplier directory. OpsForVets.com. Get on the grid.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I got Dr. B here, Dr. Meany, and I tell you, he's enlightening us with a lot of things that we need to take into stride, especially when it comes to leadership, especially when it comes to evaluating yourself, especially when it comes to bringing a positive environment where your workers and friends and families and everybody feel comfortable and feel that they are contributing in their environment. So if you want to be part of the conversation, just go to the comments and just ask any questions that you want, and Dr. B will get those answers to you. Doc, how does the lens of humbleness leadership and self-determination theory elevate group performance?
So when I got out of college, I thought I was going to take on the world and work with high-performing athletes and do all this wonderful stuff. And started realizing that a lot of the high performers will perform high because a lot of them have either natural gifts or they're already wired to most beneficially place their energy. What I started realizing is that there's a group of people in the middle who have a lot of potential, and they have the potential to make those high performers even better, but they're often ignored. So where people usually target either the really high performers and try to make them better, or the low performers and say, oh, well, we need to get rid of them, or we need to have this intervention or that. A lot of the middle goes left behind. So I started thinking, like, how do I work with 80% of the people? I get them to be better, to make the collective group better. The old adage of the fence is only as strong as a link is weak. Well, what happens when you have a lot of links that aren't holding on as well as they need to be? So that is really the motivation for how I've approached everything, is how do I make the people in the middle their best so that they make the organization as a whole the best.
So how does inclusivity improve the health of an organization?
So when people feel connected, when they feel included, when their opinion is valued, as I said earlier, you're going to find solutions to problems a lot better. They always say faster together, further as a group. Well, if you have a sustainable organization, a team, or a business, and you're looking to do this over the long haul, you need all hands on deck. You need as many people helping your organization thrive as you can. If people are not feeling included, if people are not feeling a part of it or valued, they're going to move towards something else, that either away from your organization, or they might infect other people, as in with a bad attitude, or bringing other people down. And then you have a domino effect of an unhealthy organization.
What are your thoughts on diversity, equity, inclusion in an organization? And why do you think it's important that it had to be followed from not just top down, but bottom up, both up from the bottom to the top, from top to the bottom?
It's paramount. So we have one of the beautiful things about our country is we have so many different people with so many different backgrounds. And it's important for the people to be represented in the way that they look. Absolutely. But realistically, they come with ideas, perspectives, and solutions that other groups of people don't have. So not only is it healthy to have outward appearance that we have different people in our organization, but if you're looking from a performance standpoint, you have all these different ideas, all these different ways that people can solve your problems or make your organization better, from either from their culture, from the country they're from, whatever it might be. And just being part of a family, my wife is Filipino, being part of a family from a different background, it has even more solidified my perspective that I've learned so much from people who are from the other side of the world from. And it's been not only traveling, but that has also been one of the best educations I've ever had.
Yeah, many organizations don't want to spend money on DEI or training, and then I believe they don't understand the value why you have a lot of upset folks there, because there's certain things that when you're dealing with diversity and everybody want to be treated equally and everybody want to be included in the organization. But a lot of the leaders, they don't feel that that's necessary, and they won't put the dollars in there to help educate, train, and make their people happy.
And that's why I bring up that point that the more diverse ideas you have, it's going to improve your bottom line. Ultimately, I get it. Businesses have to thrive. Athletic teams have to win. Yeah, we want to win. We want to make money in our organization. We want to employ people. But when you ignore that part of diversity and inclusion, and you do not infuse this multitude of thinking, this diverse thinking, it's going to hit you in the pocketbook anyways. So the little bit of money that you can invest in diversity and inclusion, and then teaching people how to use those strengths to solidify the organization, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Why is autonomy so important in an organization?
People want choice over their life. And especially in the current economic climate we're in, where people are moving jobs so rapidly that teams are spending a lot of money retraining people. So something that I worked with the medical establishment is it costs $1 million to train a new doctor over a two-year period. If you treated them better, or you allow them to have more choice in what they're doing, you're going to save yourself money in the long run. Now, it's not always a tangible number. It's a tangible number after the fact. But bringing some of this up to them and showing how retaining talent, just like finding new clients, is the hardest thing. Well, why don't we retain the people we have? Why don't we retain the clients we have And therefore, we're not spinning our wheels and working backwards of trying to either find new clients who are not happy or find new employees and retrain them. So I think our time is so important because it's such an innate human desire and human need. And when you don't have it, especially in 2023, people are going to go find another job.
What does a fluid environment, how does that look to you?
So fluidity to me and adaptability is the most important thing. We saw that during COVID. Businesses that were able to pivot, they were the ones who survived. Businesses that weren't able to pivot or weren't set up to pivot, unfortunately, those are the ones that were consumed by a lot of the restrictions. So I think fluidity and the ability to be flexible and change, that not only people feel more included in what the organization is doing, but it gives you the opportunity to look for new areas of revenue, maybe a new offensive tactic for a sporting team, or maybe a new skill that might not be in the zeitgeist just yet, but you're on the cusp of what's happening. And the more comfortable you get being uncomfortable, the easier it is to change. Now, we don't want people being flippy and not being consistent. We want consistency, but we at least want our ear to the ground, understanding what is coming down the pipeline in our industry, what is coming down the pipeline in our sport, and how do we adapt to those changes as opposed to being a casualty due to those changes.
You mentioned the word change, and a lot of folks are resistant to change. What would be some of the ways as leaders that we could ease that in there and teach our people and our workers and our organization that change is inevitable, and that our mindset has to sometimes go back and be reset because the world is going to continue to change. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it comes from the top down. Leaders have to show that flexibility and adaptability and them embracing change. And they demonstrate that by, number one, connecting with their people. When you have we're all in the relationship business. You're in the relationship business. I'm in the relationship business. Every single human being is in the relationship business. And when you have a relationship with people, then you build trust. And when you build trust, now you're going to have an unspoken contract that if you, Dr. James Cooley, shares an idea with me, that I'm going to be open and receptive to it. And there might be a possibility that I enact this in the company or whatever we're doing together. And that's going to make you feel more energized and more connected. And then I have this opinion that it may or may not work. And if it isn't something that is part of our ethos, if it's not part of our core values, or we're not ready yet, or maybe the prototype is too grandiose, we need to simplify it, then I'm going to give you that feedback. But I'm going to do it in a way that's going to keep you pursuing that idea, opposed to saying, nope, we're not doing it. It's not what we do. Thanks a lot, James. See you later. That will infuriate people. And that will be amotivating, opposed to getting them to buy into what you're doing, getting them to be an agent of change, opposed to someone who change is happening to.
Yeah, so what would you tell our leaders out there that are always looking, many of them are always looking for a yes, when sometimes the answer is no, but the organization is so afraid that they might get in trouble by letting their bosses know the truth, that I understand what you mean, I understand what you might need, but it's not going to work this way. What would you tell the leaders that I would call them thick-headed, and everything cannot be their way if they want to blossom in the organization?
Well, that's where you go back to what are your core values? Have you demonstrated that this is a place where we are trying to fail forward? This is a place where we are trying to grow, and sometimes you're going to have things that don't work out. And that type of psychological safety is demonstrated from the top. And day one, instilling this type of growth mindset. And growth mindset is only happen. People always say, "Well, have a growth mindset." Growth mindset only really happens when you have psychological and physical safety. So by showing and demonstrating them.
Second or so.
You got me? Hello?
Fight again. And if you want my opinion, I'll let it take me away. Only relief is the four on the floor and the crowd that goes, oh, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, oh, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phrases and stages. These experiences teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to It's Your Life with James Cooley. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get you equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
It's your life.
Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and I got Dr. Meany here. Just having such a wonderful conversation and listening to all the great things that he's putting out there. All of this information that we all need to understand and we all need to follow. So if you want to be part of the conversation, you can go to the comments. You can ask the great doc any questions. I promise you he'll get you an answer. Hey, Doc, so some leaders, what are some of the interventions that they could utilize in their organization when they have unmotivated people that's just not motivated to do the job, other than fire them, but try to get them back on the team and get them focused right? What are some of the suggestions that you would tell leaders?
Well, and that's what we want to avoid. We want to avoid losing people. We want to avoid the low-hanging fruit or the easy way out, just saying, "Oh, well, you're not doing what we want, well, you're fired." Because not only does that not make that person as fulfilled, that permeates throughout the organization. So if you think that you can fire somebody or have an outburst and other people won't see that or hear about it, you're incredibly wrong. So intervention that you can ask is, number one, ask them what their goals are. Are you putting them in an appropriate place that align with what they want out of their career? A lot of leaders never ask that question. What are your goals? Why are you here? What would you like to do? From there, you can do things like reframing. You can help them reframe some of the challenges or some of the difficulties that they're experiencing and create a new narrative around it. You can do things like helping them develop a self-talk, helping them maybe regulate areas of their personal life where they might be falling short. Regardless, no intervention will happen or will work or even happen if you are a distant leader. If people do not think you have their best interests at heart, people are going to move away from what you're doing. And when you do help, if this is the first time you've spoken to them, or they're underperforming and you haven't taken a vested interest in how to lift them up, then you're already behind the 8 ball. And that's why I harp on relationship. And through authenticity, transparency, people learn to develop trust and build respect for each other. So those are some few quick little things that people can do if they're the head of an organization or a sporting coach, and just build a relationship with them, and then start implementing some things that are particular to your company.
Doc, I'm changing the topic a little bit. There are not many yoga instructors out there with the type of background that you have.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor and doing all these other type of things. How did you get started in
it? Yeah, anybody who's been in my yoga class is like, what the heck? You teach yoga? I'm like, yeah, I teach yoga. I've been doing yoga for about almost 20 years off and on. It really came out of being a college athlete, and a lot like my life. I'm always looking for edges, right? I was never the best athlete. I was never the most talented, but I worked really hard. I had a great attitude, and I was always looking for new ways to improve my performance. And yoga became one of those. Flash forward about 10, 12 years later, they asked me to teach it at the high school. So I've been doing yoga intermittently, and I use it for relaxation and to help my body and my mind. But I started teaching it, and then I had a whole other appreciation for the practice. And I saw how it was not just influencing me, but influencing young people and helping them regulate anxiety, helping them regulate stress, helping them navigate the world better. So what I started doing was using that not only in sport and performance, but for everyone. So for leaders, for people who are working whatever job, who want to find ways to bring their nervous system into a homeostatic level. So meaning like even, so that they're operating more at a baseline and not always in a cortisol-driven and anxiety, stressed out state. Because as we talked about off camera, you're not a silo. You bring your experiences into other facets of your life, whether your personal life and the work in your personal life, and your interpersonal relationships that affect you from navigating the world as optimally as possible.
How is the students that you teach? How are they responding to this? To the yoga? Or are they excited by getting to the classes? Because that is I believe that is a relaxer. Getting your mind back.
Yeah, they're bombarded by minor students and people in general are bombarded by so many distractions. It is incredibly difficult to manage. There's a lot of people on edge a lot, and that is because of so many things that the way our society has sped up, and the quality of life has dipped a little bit. So they thoroughly enjoy the time that they have, pretty much 35, 40 minutes every day, where they're able to oxygenate your body. They're able to release physiological and psychological tension. And most importantly, release positive neurochemicals like dopamine and serotonin and cortisol and suppress cortisol to help them enjoy life better. And I'm incredibly lucky. I work with some awesome kids who've not had an easy life by any means. And seeing the benefits that yoga has done for them is probably one of the most gratifying things I've had as an educator or a coach.
Wow, we're down to the last couple of minutes of the show, but this is interesting, and got to have you back on again. Why is it important for leaders to monitor and regulate the autonomic nervous system?
Depending on the experiences we have, we are either in a homeostatic calm state or we're in a stress state. And if you are always in a hyper vigilant or hyper aggressive or an agitated state, you're going to bring that into your work life. And when you bring that into your work life, you're not going to work with people. People are messy. People require dexterity. They require love. And when the cortisol is rushing in your body and in your brain, it's a lot more difficult to see challenges and see people for who they are opposed to what you think they should be. So it really helps people separate themselves as a leader, separate themselves from outcomes, and really start focusing on developing people. Because again, going back to that low-hanging fruit, when you're stressed, a lot of times you grab for the easiest solution. And the easiest solution, especially when working with people, diverse people, is not always the best solution.
Wow. Hey, Doc, what are a couple of takeaways? We've got about 45 seconds or less. A couple of main takeaways that you want our viewers and our listeners to get from this great discussion that you and I are having.
That self-advocacy is one of the best motivators and the best energizers that anybody can have. When you know that you are in control, not only of how you respond to stimuli, but how you then perceive the world, it empowers people to be the best version of them. Whether you're a leader or whether you're a person, an employee, when you have that efficacy, you're going to go forth and make the world a better place. And maybe cheesy, maybe esoteric, but ultimately, that's my goal.
Doc, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. And I would love to get you back on again real soon because I think that a lot of things that you do and have done, it certainly can bring light to others and try to make everybody else better, and also increases our environment that we all have to be on the right mindset to work together. So thank you. I'd like to also thank my great executive producer, Dr. Michelle Cooley, for always putting together these great shows. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our listening audience for taking time to tune into the James Cooley Show. I want everybody to have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We'll be back Monday, but always dream big, think big, and be big at everything that you do. We'll see you.